Salut. This is the Crypto Kid podcast, and today we discuss Bitcoin bull riders to 100,000 US dollars. Welcome, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is yesterday was Black Friday, and this podcast, in case you're wondering, this podcast is for you. If you're 18 to 50 years old, you're a crypto Bitcoin enthusiast, you're middle class, upper class, or maybe you're working class and you just inherited a nest egg or was able to save up some money during this post-COVID economy, and you want to now know what to do with it while you're listening to all of this Bitcoin hoopla. This is the podcast for you. We provide a plethora of information for you to be a savvy crypto investor. If you're looking for free courses, go to plumberuniversity.com/Bitcoin University. Just click the link below right there. And if you want to be notified of all the latest developments with cryptocurrency, then subscribe to this channel and you'll be updated on a daily basis. So let's look at the current price of Bitcoin. I'm actually going to share my screen here, and let me pull that up properly. And I just clicked out of the screen here. All right, share. Okay. So let's pull up Bitcoin current price. Bitcoin is currently at the price of 97,059 US dollars. It's down $411. Let's see where Ethereum is. Ethereum is up $98 to a local high of 3,691 US dollars. So I'm excited about that. Let's see if there's any Ethereum news. Okay, Ethereum ETFs break record with $332 million in inflows. So that is why you see, oh man, and there's some kind of connection to Yeti. So let's check out that. Everybody's talking about Yeti coolers and thermos mugs and things of that nature, and they are actually great. They are worth the price. Okay, this is probably just a catchy name. A new altcoin, Yeti Euro, is capturing the attention of investors with its 20% Black Friday bonus. Very clever. Built on the Ethereum blockchain, Yeti Euro combines the fun of meme culture with tangible utility, making it a standout project in the rapidly growing DeFi space. Okay, so yeah, there's just a lot of that. Let's also check out Bitcoin news. See what. Okay, now a leak reveals December crypto bombshell as Bitcoin and Ripple XRP price suddenly. Let's see what suddenly skyrockets. Yes. So that is what the headline is saying. Okay. And let's just go back into the Bitcoin news. Today, I did catch one of the congressional committees being met, and Josh Hawley was sharing a bill that is designed to prevent members of Congress and their spouse from trading. I think and specifically Josh Hawley cited Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi is worth $200 million. She needs to be fully investigated and explain how she's acquired this wealth off a $150,000 salary over the last 20 years. We all know that Apple Incorporated gave her spouse, her husband, Paul Pelosi, quite a bit of stock. And that should be illegal as well. And that's what Josh Hawley was saying. Some of the concerns that were brought up by Senator Johnson and others were that if you had wealth or you had a company or you had stock, that once you took office, you had to divest yourself of that. And he didn't like that. And I agree with him. I don't like what Donald Trump's a billionaire. When he was president, what he did is he turned over the leadership of all of his assets over to his sons, mainly Eric Trump. And so I agree with that. But a lot of members of Congress come from very wealthy and powerful families. And so if they have 100 or 1,000-acre cattle farm or dairy farm, it's been in the family for generations, and then they decide to run for public office and then they're elected, they should not have to sell the family farm. Now, to prevent a conflict of interest, they should no longer be involved in the management of that firm because they could easily steer financial and political interest groups to their family business. I do believe that what Senator Johnson said is that once you become a member of Congress, you can no longer trade. See, they're trading stock on a daily basis like they're day traders, and they're doing it based upon insider information. And then what Senator Johnson also brought up is that, okay, I can't act on this information. My spouse can't act on this information, but everybody within my team actually can in their families. So, and he had a good point that if a lobbyist group, or let's say Apple Corp, wants to meet with a specific senator, or even let's use Elon Musk and Tesla. Tesla is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. If Elon Musk were to meet with certain people within the White House and they made a decision on solar energy, Elon Musk and all of his associates should not be able to invest or purchase stock in Tesla, knowing that Elon Musk was involved in some decision that could negatively or positively influence the price of Tesla. But, and this doesn't even apply to Elon, but being in the White House, he's going to be privy to a lot of information as well as his staff, and he should not be able to use that for the benefit of Tesla because that is a conflict of interest, and that basically is indirect inside information trading, and I agree with that. And so I think they need to clean up the language in that bill before they push it forward. Nevertheless, there needs to be an investigation into Nancy Pelosi specifically, and it needs to start with her. But all members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, should not be able to receive stock from any lobbyist or special interest group, as well as their spouse. So if Nancy Pelosi can't receive any Apple stock, neither can her husband, Paul Pelosi. Also, anybody that was present at the actual meeting, none of those people or their spouse or anybody, because, you know, like what happens in the Senate is that they call a meeting and they meet with specific companies, and there's lobbyist groups involved in that, and they're making all these decisions and having these conversations. Then the decision is made, policy is passed forth, and then everybody that was at that meeting shares this with their friend. And this information is not public knowledge. So that is insider trading, and all of that should be illegal. So we need to clean that up. Nevertheless, we're deep into Q4. And and these things, and also cryptocurrency was brought up because Donald Trump and his company World Liberty Financial has Bitcoin ETFs. So but Donald Trump is going to do the right thing. He's going to have his two sons manage World Liberty Financial, so he doesn't even need to be concerned about it, just like they did before. And he's setting a good example, and that's how you lead by example. So with that, I'm glad that this subject has been brought up, because it's very likely that the next step is going to be with Bitcoin ETFs and meme coins. All of a sudden, members of Congress are going to begin trading Bitcoin ETFs, and they should not be able to trade Bitcoin ETFs. So this is a good thing. What it does is it keeps integrity in Congress and the White House. Hey, Supreme Court judges shouldn't be doing any of this investing as well, if they have any knowledge of these conversations, or if they're ruling on certain cases. So I'm glad that this has been brought up. Still, Bitcoin bull riders are hanging on hard, and they are galloping on to $100,000. It's just a matter of time. It will happen before Christmas, December 25th, 2024. It will happen. Bitcoin will reach that price of $100,000. There's a lot of things that still need to be worked out. Also, I'm glad Josh Hawley brought up the subject of stocks, because specifically what's troubling is that members of Congress are deeply invested in pharmaceutical stocks, and many of them were actual treatments for COVID. And that's what Josh Hawley was saying, is that how come during COVID, members of Congress had these extraordinary returns with these pharmaceutical companies that had something to do with the treatment of COVID? And then also, how did they become extremely wealthy during the Biden-Harris administration, both Republicans and Democrats, when they owned and continued to double down and purchase military weaponry stocks, and then vote to issue billions of dollars to the Ukraine and to Israel? And this is a problem, as I said before, because the reason Donald Trump needs to totally dismantle the Internal Revenue Service is because the Internal Revenue Service has become the purse of endless wars. Remember, the Bureau of Internal Revenue was created in 1862, and it was only supposed to last 10 years to 1872 to pay for the debt that was incurred during the Civil War. In 1913, Congress voted they ratified the Bureau of Internal Revenue to draw federal taxes and use that money for whatever they wanted. And what we've noticed in that time over the last 110 years is that we've been United States was involved in World War I, which was supposed to be the war that ended all wars. But then you had World War II, you had the Philippines War, the Korean War, Vietnam War, the Gulf War, the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so the Internal Revenue Service actually, it wasn't conceived for that purpose, but what it does is it allows the American military industrial complex, and that is members of Congress, to continue to issue money and weaponry to fund wars abroad. It also allows them to fund NATO and use military might. And because we are no longer on the gold standard, this is the reason why the U.S. Treasury just prints up money and sends it to Israel or the Ukraine to perpetuate these wars. And then our young boys and girls end up going to foreign countries and dying and killing a lot of innocent people for the sake of wealth. And the technical term for this is called military Keynesianism, which is building an economy based upon war by continuing to create scenarios that justify the use of military might and weaponry. And then, like many people understand that basically what happened with Halliburton and Dick Cheney is Dick Cheney convinced George W. Bush to go to war with Iraq. They destroyed the country, killed at least 1 million people, then sent U.S. contractors in, like Halliburton, to go in and rebuild the country. And that created an economy. And that is a perfect example of military Keynesianism. So with that, there's your history lesson for today. This is the Crypto Kid. Remember, the future is crypto.